Hello, hello, and welcome back to Talk Back Georgia, the People Show. Your host, The Jewel. And today is, guess what? November 24th, Monday, 2025. And I want to say hello to everyone out there. I'm joined here by Kim, and I am excited that we are able to work together because guess what? You got a baby boomer and you have a Zing. Isn't that wonderful? Because you're going to get a perspective of all of us. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about, as we told you last week, we're going to continue talking about the elections in Fulton County, Atlanta, and City of South Fulton, because they are the most contentious ones. I mean, you got everything under the sun that's going on and being said. And then you got the Jewel Johnson perspective from the Jewel Johnson report. And then you're going to have the Zing perspective by Kim. And I am going to start it off really quick with you. You know that early voting has started for both City of South Fulton and the other cities in the City of South Fulton. I want to give you a little bit of something about another city in South Fulton, which is East Point. East Point has a runoff between a city council person who's running for mayor and another young lady who is also a member and very active of the community. And she sits on the zoning board for them. And she has garnered enough votes to push a runoff into the council person. Well, they had a very good forum. Uh, I think it was last week. Yes, it was definitely last Thursday. And I had the opportunity of being there. There were some very good questions to both of the candidates, and they both was answering very appropriately. They was very respectful of each other. There was a good crowd there, and they had an opportunity to really listen to both candidates until it was time for Miss Chapman, who was the other candidate who was running against the council person, Josh Butler, and she had to leave because she was on the zoning board that was it was a very um, interesting and very concerning zoning that she really had to be there. But she expressed her condolence, and for any questions that you wanted to ask, her campaign manager was left there. So I believe they were filming it, and you could get a chance to go back and read it. But afterwards, there was a lot of stuff that was said about the campaign, and there was some mudslinging where they was calling her um, a Republican and
Wow.
all kinds of little things that wasn't so nice. So there was a citizen that came on, and she made some very valid points because she said that you can't say a person is a Republican by you thinking that and saying that she voted MAGA and they had MAGA written across her forehead on the flyer that
Wow.
they had.
Wow.
Yes, it was. I was surprised to see that because the person was saying that they saw that she was a Republican just because I don't know if she qualified for one or what. But there is nothing out there that says that she is, okay, unless and she actually qualified as a Republican. And they was throwing so much mud, they didn't really give you a clear picture of whether or not it actually stated that she was a registered voter. They just said She was a MAGA person that voted for Trump and all this crazy stuff. But there were some good things that came out of that because it really had people challenging the validity of that particular flyer that was sent out in the mail. So hopefully we will, not do that without the correct information so that nobody has to try and clarify and go through all those things. But that's one area in which you might want to take a good look at because East Point is one of our older, smaller cities in South Fulton. And they've been around a long time and they've done some good things. I know if you go and look at their downtown, they are really doing a pretty good job of that. But there's a lot of things that they have on the board that they are looking at doing. So if you're interested in um, East Point, make sure you follow up and see who gets that vote on December 2nd when we all should vote. And I encourage everybody to go out and vote. So, with that being said, I want to switch on over and say a little something about another city elections, which is College Park. And they are going through it. They have fired their, I think this is the third city manager. And there's a lot of
Wow.
contention that's going on with them and land and accusing the city mayor of about things that in property that she supposedly owned. And then there's a lot of problems as it relates to some of the council people and what they're doing. And the mayor now has to go to public comment to make um, her comments because of their charter. I think they're redoing their charter, if I'm not mistaken. And hopefully they will get a clearance about all of this. I haven't heard whether or not they've appointed another city manager because they had just got this city manager because they had removed the city manager before her. I don't think she lasts but just maybe a few months.
Mm.
And she's been removed and College Park has everything going on. So that's another city that I think you need to really kind of tune into because whether we like it or not, what happens with them, it affect us because our borders are so jagged. Even part of College Point and East Point butts up to City of South Fulton, and City of South Fulton butts up to Atlanta, and vice versa. It's just all over the place. So before I move into the other part, I want to see if Cam, you want to add a little something to
Um,
the other two cities that we just talked about.
yes. My commentary on the really like spicy news that you just shared
Yeah.
is I'm definitely shocked that people are having such brief stints in local politics. You know, it's really making me question the behavior that's happening amongst people that are supposed to be our elected or appointed officials,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to College Park. I'm
Yes.
technically in Riverdale, but I'm on the cusp right between Riverdale and College Park. So to know that the city manager was only there for a couple months and this is their third one, like
Mm-hmm.
that's very shocking. I don't think people, from the day to day are realizing like that is what's going on. And then in
Yes.
East Point, East Point is a little further away from me, but
Mm-hmm.
still also right around the corner, right down the street. But for the election and for the behavior there with them, you know, calling people out of their names, the
Mm-hmm.
posters, like I get it, like it's politics and you want to throw a couple shots at your opponent, but where's the decorum? Where's the respect?
Right.
Especially like marking someone's face, saying MAGA.
Mm.
But I think it's also interesting that we live in such a democratic lockdown area that calling official MAGA is an insult. Because if you were to be like somewhere out in maybe Villarica or like a majority conservative Republican area of Georgia, that'd probably be a compliment. But for us, like that's actually an insult, and she's probably gonna take it personally that they're calling her that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just my take. But just overall, I think if more young people realize like stuff like that was happening, that there's actually real drama going on,
Mm-hmm.
they'd probably tune in a bit more.
Well, one of the things that hopefully all this will do is to let people understand that the more engaged they are, the easier it's going to be for us as we get ready to vote, because we can express how we feel and the things that they are saying, and how they're really disrespecting each other, and really, in a big sense, disrespecting the public. So we really want our folks to come together and work together, because that's how you get things done. We have to realize that you're not going to like everybody. You're not going to agree on everything. But in the end, you should at least be able to agree to disagree, so you can keep the flow moving and get the work done, because we have a lot of work that needs to be done in a lot of these cities, especially with the atmosphere that we have in from the congressional part. And another thing I want to touch on is that there was a lot of people that jumped up and endorsed certain folks in both those elections. So endorsements are okay, but I'll tell anybody, do not um, place your vote on who endorses who, because it really doesn't give you what you really need. You need to really vet that person for yourself. And if you're not doing that, that means you're doing yourself an injustice. So we need to make sure that we do all that we can do to get the right answer to yourself, so you can make sure that you at least, be able to do what you need to do.
We'll be right back.
The Jewel is right back with you, and I am so happy to be right back with you from that little pause there. But we're going to move right on into something that's going on in city of South Fulton. I think that most of you do know that South Fulton is now the number 2 city for all of Fulton County, and Atlanta is the number 1, the capital of the state of Georgia. So naturally, those are large areas where a lot of things are happening, a lot of things are coming on to us, and um, our mayoral election is really going off the chain. And we also have 2 council seats that is very, very active, where a lot of the people really want change. They really wanted all new people. So they ended up with, as the mayor, they ended up with a former council person and an active council person that ran for mayor. Okay. So that means that the citizens have to really, really dig down in order to really understand if either one of these young people are for the people. Because there's been so many, many things that has happened in the city of South Fulton. And I have been a very active advocate of the city of South Fulton. I may have told you last week that I was one of the people that went around to over 300 subdivisions where I was actually telling people, look, we're already a city, we just need to be chartered. And letting them understand that we didn't have a choice but to create a city because there was a law that came out from the state that said that Fulton County could no longer do city services. And we were paying a special interest tax for the city services. So we had no other choice but, and everybody that was unincorporated had to create their own city. And the first time City of South Fulton residents tried form um, to form the city, it didn't pass. But the second time with a lot of teaching and getting the people to understand the importance of us doing that, because if we had just stayed unincorporated, we couldn't. And what would have happened to us if we hadn't formed the city? That meant that any of the other cities could claim any area of that area that was unincorporated and not a city, which meant that we would have been torn apart. I mean, all the other cities could have said, I want this, I want that, and we would have just been messed up. So I think it was a good thing because it was a referendum that was put on the ballot, and we had 17,000 people to vote against it, and we had 25,000 people that voted for it. And so I am very, very happy that we have the city. I am not happy with a lot of the things that have occurred. And a lot of the people are not either. And I think one of our problems is that we've had so many people to move into the city from other areas of California, Chicago, Michigan, Florida, you name it. We've had all kinds of people from everywhere, seem like, to move into the city of South Fulton. And we welcome them. But the problem is they come into a government that they don't really know. And we don't know whether or not they were familiar with the government where they were. So it ended up that a lot of people, even sometimes now don't know where they live. So it's like whoever we get as mayor and council person for District 4 and for District 2, there's got to be a lot of engaging and teaching so people will understand the process. Not to say that these people don't know government. Maybe they know about it where they live, but Georgia is another whole um, can of worms, I say. We're 159 counties, and those are a lot of counties. Okay. And Georgia is one of your states that produces a lot. We're not a poor state. We produces a lot, and our budget is in the billions of dollars. So that tells you we're very, very productive. And from that point, so with that being said, getting to the meat of what's going on with the runoffs for District 2, 4, and the mayors on all three sides, there's a lot going on in terms of information. There are people that are really saying different things about each of one of the candidates. And I encourage everybody to please read and go to the forums. A lot of them are having them in the community. There is people who go to the forums in their community. I read for one young lady, she liked one uh, person so well that she said that she's going door to door, knocking on each door and telling them, this is the one, this is the one. So they are really, really into making this change because they have said over and over they want change. So I'm looking to see if District 2 and District 4 is going to change because both of the candidates are very much into, wanting to be in that seat. And a lot of people are saying that, like, one of the candidates they feel like is leaning toward, uh, you know, being there for different reasons than the other people that's pushing for it. This is really, really something to get into any deep, deep diving about those two seats. When I say try and read everything that you possibly can. If they're having a meet and greet in your community, make sure you go to that meet and greet and you ask the questions that concern you, that would give you that opportunity to say, okay, this is the one for me. And you do still have times to do that. Now, talking about the mayoral race, oh, that's a real hot one. There are all kinds of mailers that's coming out and all kinds of endorsements, and to try and discern what's what. Some people's having trouble because it's a male and a female, okay? And one of them is still an active council person, and the other one is a former council person. And the female has had plenty of problems. It's they've shown where she owes money from her financial disclosure, that she wasn't telling the truth about everything, and I
Wow.
think she set it up to kind of pay it off. Do
Hmm.
you remember that?
No, no, I don't recall. This is new information to me. I didn't know she had financial issues.
Yes,
But
yes.
they'll find anything that you've been hiding in your closet when you're running for these races.
Well, they actually showed it from the Secretary of State's office. I
Hmm.
think that's where it came from the state one, and it was out there. And then the other thing was that she was helping this developer with his project, and he also made a donation to her campaign, and she was supposed to, uh, to recuse herself from voting, and she didn't. Although when she voted against the project. Okay, but the charter says that if you're involved with any of that,
Hmm.
that you are to, let it be known publicly and recuse yourself. So that was a big issue with her doing that, and that was an issue with the P cards, how she's had abused her P card, and there also was another issue in terms of her voting for warehouses and um, what do you call them things, data centers.
Oh yeah, I really don't like that. I definitely like to dig into that. I didn't realize there were, more data centers popping up in our side of town. I
Mhm.
definitely feel like they're not necessary. They're not needed, and for the residents that live right by it, it's hiking up water bills. So we had that huge new water commissioner. I can't think of the actual position, but I know we had that
Oh,
election.
yeah. For the This is the first time we've ever had uh, a Democratic PFC, and they're the ones that stays, monitors and vote and decide whether or not they are able to raise or lower our costs for water
Other utilities,
and yeah,
right?
all the utilities, and
Yeah. So yeah.
it's a real mess.
Hmm.
And then when you look at the gentleman who was a former council person, they're saying that he just up and left and ran for another position. Okay, and left them high and dry, his district, because he was council person for District 7. And they're also trying to say that he gave proclamations to bad people,
Mm.
which really, and this was really crazy because it was my understanding, a proclamation to someone that had done some good things for people in the area in which they
Hmm.
live. And that's the reason he gave the proclamation. And that he paid for his his soror, I mean, attorney. What is the
Fraternity.
no the organization like the women is sorrow and the men
Yeah, the
is
fraternity,
yeah his
sorority,
mm-hmm.
sorority or fraternity.
Well, his he got used his P card to pay his dues, his fraternity dues,
Oh wow.
but he says that he got the clearance from the city manager and that he paid it back on his own without them even asking for
I
it.
just don't know why he would do that in the first place.
I,
Like why would you even want to mix that card up with a private organization? You
that
know,
that is true, and
because it's not like he's not well off. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to
I
have
don't
some
know.
money to run for these elections, and if you're in a fraternity, you're probably at a higher income level that you've been paying your dues since you graduated. I mean, since you graduated college,
Yeah,
you could have just paid your dues without using that card.
but that was the only thing they saw on his P card.
Mm-hmm.
But on hers, she had paid a tuition to school for.
Mm-hmm.
She said it was one of her legislative assistant
Mm-hmm.
who actually ended up getting fired for
Mm.
that. So it's all crazy about what really happened with that. So they are just slinging mud all kinds of ways, and then they brought in the gender thing, saying that he was bashing a black female, in which they went on and on about that. It is so messy that
Yeah.
that it's unreal, and I really think that the people are about tired of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad that it's coming to a head real quick.
Yeah, listening to this, it's like, I mean, of course, no candidate's going to be perfect,
Right.
but if I, as a resident, and am, an active resident, as I'm hearing about this, I'm like, I don't want to vote for either of them. Of
Right.
course, you got to pick like the lesser of two evils.
Right.
But I still really don't appreciate that a big a big issue I feel like residents overall want to see changed in the South Florida community is the corruption when it comes to these funds and the misappropriation of these funds. So to find that our two potential candidates, so we got to pick one or the other, have both had instances, even though, for the guy, I guess his is a bit more minor, but he's still using his funds for something he's not supposed to be using it for, does make me
Right.
a bit disappointed. But I also feel like that's kind of just an overall reflection of our national politics to our president, our congress members. They also
Right.
are corrupt. They also do a lot of things with their own funds that we probably don't know about, and things that we do, it's millions of dollars of misappropriation or special gifts and whatever. So I mean, who's to really be surprised at the end of the day that even our local election is happening with this stuff
I
involved, with this
know
stuff
that
being involved? Yeah.
to be the truth. What you're saying is so truthful, and hopefully people can get something from all of this that we are going through. Because when you look at the real problem, is that so many things had been taken away from the people, but pushing real hard. And I, will, for one, as an advocate, had been pushing that they give the mic back to the people. And believe it or not, we got one of the council people to put it on the agenda. The first time they did it, it didn't fly.
Mm.
The second time we pushed her to do it again, believe it or not, everybody was sitting there. And we went to the mic and was talking about how important it was for us to be able to have the opportunity to talk about anything we want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
in our city, that they actually passed it. So now we can go to the public comment session to talk about anything that's germane to the city of Suffolk.
That's good.
And that's a good thing. But when we pushed for the forensic audit, it didn't
Ooh.
pass. Okay. So I've asked both candidates if they would actually do the forensic audit, because the forensic audit is going to give us a clear picture of what has been happening, okay, with our money. because we've had incidents where 600,000 just disappeared because they said they um, invoice to the wrong people, and there was money that was given out to companies without a contract, and there was a whole lot of other little things, not little things, big things were going on as it relates to our money, and we were losing so many employees of our own. And right now we are staffing with someone else's staff. We have over 100 and some vacant uh,
Are
positions.
these like county
No,
positions?
these are city positions, city of South Florida
City
positions.
positions. What
Right.
kind of positions are we talking about?
Staffing, like accounting. They need people in accounting. They need people in what is it, personnel.
Hmm.
They need a personnel director. Okay.
Wow.
They need they're investigating the police chief who is only with pay, that's getting $18,000 a month while he's sitting at home.
Wow.
Okay. And
Wow. That's actually
I,
insane.
I mean, it's just crazy. And they hired an interim public safety guy who's over fire and police, and they're paying him $25,000 a month. Now,
Yeah.
you add those two salaries up,
I just did like the $18,000 a month. That's $216,000 a year,
okay?
and the $25,000 a month is $300,000 a year. So these people are getting paid almost $250,000.
Right.
But we have hundreds of vacant city positions, and we have $600,000 going missing. We need that forensic audit. That's all that means. We need that forensic audit.
Mm-hmm. We must find out where our tax dollars are going. So it's just so much contentions that's going on with getting the mayor, the right mayor, and we know it's a ceremonial position, but the right mayor with their experiences, they should know how to deal with the public. Having run for mayor myself, I was clued in as to we need a forensic audit. I mean, I even sent certified letters to mayor council a few years back
Hmm.
because I realized what was happening, the way we was losing so many staff, and how they was firing the chief financial officer, and then when they hired the city manager that they have now, she was supposed to been straightening things out, and they thought she was so grand that they raised her salary to $300,000
Wow.
a year, and our budget ballooned to 600, I mean to 400 million dollar budget. Okay, so that has opened the eyes of everybody, and everybody want to get in there and get some of the money, and it's all about money, power, and control. And that's the reason why I've been trying to encourage the people to take back their city
Hmm.
by making the changes that they're making. And a lot of people are engaged now. And it's just, you got this side over here for her, you got this side over here for him, and people need to understand it doesn't matter if you like the person, if they are handsome or if they are cute or pretty, whatever they call it. Sorrow, my friend, I just like her. I think she's wonderful. I just like him because he's the greatest thing I know, and he said better than anybody else about what he's going to do. I mean, you can sit up and say anything to make your mouth say anything. But what's the substance? What have they delivered? Okay. So those are the kinds of things that you need to really look at before you vote for anybody. And I say that because we got 4 years to deal with an incompetent person, or one that don't care if we vote that person in. So I know it's a challenging thing. Challenging to me, but I have evaluated. I did endorse, and I'm gonna stick with it. But I told them if they can't be what they told me they can be, I will be on them like
As you
white on
should.
rice rather,
As you should.
because I'm always engaged. I have been for many years, and I tell them all the time, I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
I'm invested, and I believe that when I really love the South Side, I love where I live, and when you love something, you nurture it. So I've been nurturing it, and I'm going to continue nurturing it. And on our last half of the time, I promised you all last week that I was going to write a little something. So I have. So when we come back, we're going to take a little break. But when we come back, I promise you, I'm going to share with you what I have written to share with you for this week. Okay? Well, hello. Guess what? Talkback Georgia is back with you, the community talk show. Your host, The Jewel. And I know I told you that I was going to write something for you this time, and we're going to get started with it tonight. And I will just give you the heading and read a little bit about it, and then we'll talk about each one that I read off. And if we don't finish it, we'll come back next week and start it all over again so you can get the gist of everything. So make sure that you come back with us next week. Okay, I call the theme of this Fulton County election problems are historic, and that is the truth. Time for new leadership in Fulton chairman's office. Okay, and this is under the Jewel Johnson reports. As a former candidate and a woman who is very politically active in this county, pundits, campaign consultants, political analysts, elected officials, and marketing experts are aware of who votes and how often. Their key demographics. Part of working a campaign strategy is knowing who the super voters, people who vote in every election, are, as well as those who vote in primaries, general elections, and other relevant elections. There is nothing wrong with this, as any prudent person would do this. So they know how to target and teach people. However, we are dealing with voter apathy. As a proud baby boomer who understands the power of voting and citizen engagement, I believe we, as a community, are losing our way. I am encountering too many people who are not voting, and some take pride in that fact. Others are fed up and disgusted. I can see both sides of this, as well as apathy. It lends itself to the Atlanta way when it comes to making selections under the guise of elections. Let's talk about those things. One thing that I have noticed over the years is who's going to vote and how many people are voting. And that's what you want to know. And that's what a lot of these people who want to control you, who want to control who's there, they study that, okay? And they want to have a major say so as to who actually get positions. So that's one of the reasons why they study that and know who's going to vote and those that are not going to vote. Because we have some people that will vote just in the presidential election.
Mhm.
Then you have those people that will vote in everything. And most of those that vote in everything are your baby boomers, because I'm one of them. I'm sorry to say, but your host, the Jewel, votes in everything. And mainly because I'm really interested in what's going on. And a lot of our seniors vote like that. So what the key is here, what they are concerned with is making sure that they are touching those people because they know they're going to come out and vote. And they're looking at how many other people, other than the baby boomers, that's definitely going to come out. How many young people that are going to come out, which is one of the main reasons that it's ironic that Cam and I have hooked up to be hosted co-host of this show. because I'm a baby boomer and she is a zine, and we both have our own, autonomy about where we are in terms of where we fall into this political arena. So, with that being said, I felt like it was very, very important to kind of share that with you about, you know, the marketing piece that a lot of the people that are really interested in the control system, because that's the kind of system we have, and especially if you are a Democrat. And it's no different with the Republicans. They have the same identical thing. They want to control who's getting elected and who is going to be representing what they want them to represent. And it's so unfortunate that for years, um, Black people fought for the right to vote, and for years they was told how to vote, and they don't want to change that. They still want to control your vote and control you. So what this whole thing about Fulton County elections problems are historic. uh, there's going to be a series of at least three segments on this. So hopefully it will actually show you what's going on and the control that they've had for years on Democrats, because they know what to say to you to get you going, and they they know how to tell you how to vote, and they've mastered actually taking control of your vote. And it's not just, again, it's not just the Democrats. The Republicans do the same identical thing. So what we need to do is, here again, we need to be more engaged, and we need to vote more in large numbers, because what that says is that you are in control of your vote, you are in control of your quality of life. Because when you vote and you vote right, you do control your quality of life. And that is one of the most important things that you should even think about doing. And I want people to be able to follow each segment here, because it's going to, I'm going somewhere with this, because it's important for us to see how we are being controlled, and how um, this thing in Fulton County, since it's the largest county, wants to hold that control over the Democratic Party, because there's all kinds of people in the Democratic Party, but the majority of your Black people are in the Democratic Party. And I want to show that because, number one, in Fulton County, um, they have always had the majority of the Black vote. Okay. And on the South Side, they have always represented us. But there's a big disparity going on because they don't deliver, but they keep you bogged down in supporting them and giving you nothing. So that's what this series is about, showing you what's happening to you and trying to get you to realize certain things. And you follow us with these segments, you're going to see for yourself exactly how this is. I'm going to yield to you because our time is kind of running out,
Yeah,
but I want you to kind of
yeah,
talk a little bit about these two things here that
for sure.
I
Yes.
talked about.
So we are about to wrap up this live with you guys soon. But for my little 2 minutes, my 2 cents, I'll be speaking and expanding more on this in our next stream. But I will say, as a Gen Z person, I think it's very interesting how boomers are very embedded into using their power of voting by being active, participants in voting and being these super voters. And while we are the opposite, in I think one perspective, one side is there's social media. Having social media makes it so we're so focused on everything else going around us on the digital space outside of us in the world that we're not focused on what's happening in our local community anymore. It's so easy just to not be tapped into that. So, as just to give you guys perspective about why it is harder to get young people to vote, is because we don't feel like it affects us because we're so focused on everything else going on in the world that has nothing to do with us. Which is kind of weird, right? But that's just the cards that we have been dealt with growing up with technology and social media in this age. Another thing in general is knowing that they aren't coming to us and knocking on our doors for our votes because they know there's a risk we might not show up in the higher percentage and statistics that matter. So that's why when it's like, why are Gen Z people voting? It's like, are you really trying to get us to vote? Where are you putting your dollars in when you do these campaigns? They're probably going to be going to boomer neighborhoods, older facilities and areas and events that are catered towards those super voters. Um, so those are just my 2 cents. And
Mhm.
that's really all I have to say right now. I want to expand more, but I don't want to get too started on this.
Well, what you said was uh, accurate, totally accurate when you look at our Zen, and we want them more involved because they have more energy than the boomers. We've boomed out almost. Some of us, and then some of us, we still got it, so
Hmm.
to speak. And I hope that we will keep it because most of your boomers vote on everything, you know, which is really really good. And I'm just gonna close out by saying the fact that you're here. I appreciate that, and I want you to be able to get as much from Talkback Georgia as possible. And I also want to engage you enough that if there are other things that you want to talk about, send me a text or an email, and we'd be glad to speak with you about how we can bring this to fruition for you. Just let us know. And we will be back next week with the another part of Fulton County election problems are historic. That is what the theme is. And if you want to read ahead of us, you can go to all the groups on social media. You can go to next door. You will find it there. So you can read ahead and get ahead of us for next week because we're going to dive right back in it next week. I want to say thank you for being here with The Jewel, your host, and with Kim, your co host. So you have a good evening.